Imagine a system that controls almost every aspect of your financial life, yet very few people know it exists. A network so powerful that it can dictate which countries rise, which economies collapse, and even how much money ends up in your bank account. And the strangest part? Most of us think we're in control. We think money is just money. But what if everything you believe about the economy is carefully orchestrated behind closed doors? Tonight, we're uncovering the hidden world of secret banking networks and how they shape the global economy. In silence. To understand this hidden system, we need to go back centuries. Money, as we know it, wasn't always paper or digital. For most of human history, wealth was tangible: gold, silver, or other precious commodities. But in the late Middle Ages, a few wealthy families realized they could increase power not by owning gold, but by controlling debt. Enter the earliest banking dynasties: the Medici in Italy, the Rothschilds in Europe. These families didn't just lend money, they lent influence. A single loan could make or break kingdoms. And the real trick? They were quietly building networks, interconnected institutions that could manipulate currencies, interest rates, and credit availability long before modern central banks even existed. By the 20th century, this web of influence had evolved into something far more sophisticated. Private banks, international financial institutions, and central banks began operating as a tightly interwoven system. The twist: this system was designed not to serve the public, but to protect and expand the power of those who controlled it. The stage was set for the most complex, hidden financial machinery the world had ever seen. It all began with a deceptively simple idea. Money is a tool, not a goal. In the 1600s, European banks started issuing more notes than they had in gold reserves, a practice called fractional reserve banking. Essentially, banks could create money out of nothing, lending multiples of what they actually held. This principle underpins almost every modern financial system today. The cause and effect here is critical. Banks lending more than they held led to rapid economic expansion, but also created the seeds of financial instability. Wars, empires, and trade networks grew faster than ever before, but every boom carried the potential for catastrophic collapse. By the 19th century, secret banking networks had transformed global finance. Families like the Rothschilds weren't just bankers, they were power brokers. They financed governments during wars, influenced elections, and controlled international trade through strategic lending. Then came central banks. The Bank of England, the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank. These institutions were ostensibly designed to stabilize economies, but in reality they became part of the same hidden network. By controlling interest rates and regulating money supply, these banks could manipulate entire economies without a single citizen noticing. The pattern is consistent. When credit expands, economies boom. When it contracts, crises appear. And the people controlling the levers almost always benefit while the rest of the population bears the cost. The system, however, is not infallible. Its reliance on debt creation and invisible leverage made it prone to collapse. The 1929 Great Depression is a textbook example. Banks had overextended credit, stock speculation spiraled out of control, and when the bubble burst, governments were forced to intervene on a massive scale. Fast forward to 2008, and we see history repeating itself. Wall Street banks bundled risky loans into complex financial instruments, selling them globally. The world's economy teetered on the brink of collapse. But once again, central banks and governments intervened, quietly bailing out the key players while ordinary citizens suffered foreclosures, unemployment, and loss of savings. The breaking point isn't always visible. It builds silently, like pressure in a hidden underground system. And when it finally erupts, it leaves millions unaware of the forces that caused it. After every crisis, the system appears to fix itself, but these fixes often only reinforce the hidden networks. New regulations are implemented, but loopholes are exploited. Interest rates are adjusted, but banks find ways to profit regardless. The public believes reforms are happening, but the reality is far different. The same networks emerge stronger, more centralized, and more opaque. Take quantitative easing, for example. Governments inject trillions of dollars into the economy to stabilize markets. On the surface, it's a rescue. But much of that money flows back to major banks and financial institutions, reinforcing the same power structures that caused the crisis in the first place. It's a cycle that has repeated over and over, silent, invisible, yet devastating. Today, we live in a world where debt has become a global instrument of control. Total global debt exceeds 300 trillion, more than 3 times the world's annual economic output. Central banks hold unimaginable influence over this debt, manipulating interest rates, printing money digitally, and controlling financial markets behind the scenes. The patterns are unmistakable: rising inequality, recurring economic crises, and an endless cycle of debt creation. And while the public struggles to keep up, the hidden networks continue to operate quietly, shaping global policy, influencing elections, and consolidating wealth in the hands of a few. Debt is the lever of power. Global debt isn't just an economic measure. It is a tool used to control nations and populations. Financial crises are engineered, not accidental. Boom and bust cycles often serve the interests of secret banking networks. Appearing reforms rarely dismantle the system. Most solutions reinforce the hidden structures rather than breaking them. If history teaches us anything, it's that the system is self-preserving. The networks that shape our money operate silently, yet their influence touches every aspect of life, from your mortgage to the stability of your country's economy. The real question is, when, not if, will the next tipping point arrive, and will we be ready to recognize it? If you found this dive into the hidden world of banking networks eye-opening, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Every week, we uncover the secret forces shaping money, debt, and power. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, knowledge is the only currency they can't control.